Welcome back, subscribers, and welcome new viewers. And I'm going to be reading today from Karmic Astrology book from Martin Schulman. And this will be under the viewer requests, and I haven't memorized the number. Shoot, it will be a specific number for the nodes viewer request. And it's going to be North Node in the 9th house, South Node in the 3rd house. And I want to thank Tara for enabling me to be able to post this video, because this doesn't just help her, this helps each and every one of you who also has this same South Nodal, North Nodal house placement. And the reason why I read from any of my book readings, Pluto, the Karmic Astrology Nodes book, Chiron, and then I also ask if you would like a written copy, because that reaches 2 separate places in your frontal lobe, your conscious part of your memory, and that enables all of you that choose to do that to become even work through and solidify this information inside your conscious brain even quicker, so you can work through these blockages and these programs. Okay, so that being said, let's get to the 9th house North Node, 9th house North Node, 3rd house South Node. I'm also being called to say really quick, if you don't know what the symbol of your nodes are, the North Node symbol on your natal wheel is going to look like an upright horseshoe or upright headphones, and then directly across from it it's going to look like an upside down, which is the South Node, upside down headphones, upside down horseshoe. Okay. This individual is forever pulling himself out of webs of entanglement. Every relationship he enters becomes so complicated that he has to use all his energies to free himself. In past incarnations, he developed a great need for people, and herein lies his weak spot, for as much as he now thinks he would like to be alone, he feels an almost compelling need to reach for others. He listens to problems and likes to be in the position of giving advice. Often frustrated by the multitude of problems dumped in his lap, he secretly thinks that if he had more education, he would be better equipped to cope with all the questions that befall him. He keeps trying to be as diplomatic as possible and is constantly enmeshed in the afterthoughts of the words he has spoken to others. Always conscious of the interpretation his words may be given, he nurtures an inner fear of being misunderstood. As a result, he keeps going back to yesterday's conversations to re-explain all that he meant. He must understand the essence of truth without having to feel compelled to make truth smaller by trying to communicate it verbally to others. One of his greatest problems is dealing with the karmic residue of an insatiable curiosity, which, although it served him well in former incarnations, now keeps leading him deeper into webs of details. His greatest crises occur each time he is forced to make decisions, for rather than relying on his intuition or his higher mind, he keeps seeking more facts and details in the hope that when he has all the information, the decision-making process will be easier. Constantly striving to achieve neutrality, he becomes a paradox to himself. In prior lives, he fell into the habit of identifying with catchy phrases, cute sayings, and euphemisms to the point that he has now become a walking cliche. Liking to read and explore a wonderland of knowledge that he sees around him, his life is a constant thirst for more understanding. He is convinced that this is the one path in life that has no end. Whatever he becomes keenly interested in, he can make into a lifelong study, particularly if the South Node is in a fixed sign. And the fixed signs, I believe, let me see if I can remember these correctly. Scorpio for the water signs is fixed. Aquarius for the air sign, fixed. And I believe Leo is the fire sign, fixed, fire sign. And then the earth sign is Taurus, fixed. Okay. He likes to feel worldly. As a result, he'll do things that others wouldn't just for the sake of experiencing understanding. Let me read that again, that sentence. He likes to feel worldly. As a result, he'll do things that others wouldn't just for the sake of experiencing new understanding. His current life is involved with so many people that hurt feelings are bound to fly, not because of any malicious intent, but rather through the inability to keep up with everyone in whose life he has become involved. At the very deepest of levels, he has many inner doubts about himself, which become amplified when he speaks with others. For if it were at all possible, he would try to be all things to all people. As a result of past life habits, he spends too much time in lower mind. He goes through more movement than he has to, and if this is not expressed physically, then he does it in his thought. At times, his merry-go-round of possibilities is so great that he thoroughly drains himself by thinking about what he should do. As a result, he does nothing. And again, I'm being called to say that please, those of you with this nodal position, are the experiences that you will be having. You will be having, because each and every one of us, we will experience and go through many experiences, South Nodal experiences. He will experience fears that he is sexually impotent. Once he starts questioning along this track, his enormous thirst for understanding can lead him into a promiscuous behavior pattern until he is reassured that all is well and he is perfectly normal. So again, those of you that have done this or are in the midst of this, again, this is something that you will go through and experience. Some of you, or most of you, or even all of you. So please do not feel guilty, do not feel bad, not at all. It's stating it right here. So There you have it, okay. On his deepest level, he is not a sexual animal, but in fact so mentally inclined that he has fears of being shut out from the nitty-gritty of life because of his mental inclinations. Like the young child afraid his peers will accuse him of being a bookworm, he will dare himself to prove that he can be accepted in a physically oriented world. Nevertheless, his greatest subconscious need is one day to become a walking encyclopedia so that he will never be caught lacking the right piece of information at the right moment. His biggest growth comes when he learns how to make the karmic transition from lower to higher mind. Higher mind being the 9th house. As he drops his past life attachment to trivia, his eyes begin to open wide to the enormous horizons before him. The less he talks to others, the more faith he starts to develop. He must learn how constantly to broaden his interests so that his scope of knowledge is not limited by the demands of his immediate circle of relationships. He does well when he learns how to step back so that he can see the forest from the trees. When he does this, he also learns how to let things slide off his back, which gives him a new sense of peace that somehow always eluded his reach. Traveling helps to broaden his perspective, and he meets his greatest successes far from his place of birth. For some, the life will be influenced greatly by a foreigner. And the reason they're saying that is because foreigner has everything to do with the 9th house and traveling and truth, journeys. Through the 9th house north node, enormous spiritual growth. Let me say that sentence again. Well, it could feel gross for some of you. That's possible because you're not used to it. Through the 9th house north node, enormous spiritual growth is possible once the individual has learned how to pull away from all his prior life doubts and questions. He must He must take his mind out of a finite world and focus on an infinite consciousness. And you know what came to me? I said instead of take. Well, that makes sense because you must to take your mind out of a finite world and focus on an infinite consciousness. He will lose friends by doing this, for there are few who will fully understand his sudden aloofness. Again, this is your path. And so this will happen. But those that leave your lives, what's coming to me is then there will be a space that is opened up for new individuals, new people to come into your life that are who you truly are and who will truly support who you truly are. But through those who stay with him, he will learn the difference between a friend and an acquaintance. As he grows, he begins to focus on ideas rather than the words through which the ideas are expressed. He sees how others limit themselves by language and tries to speak to their ideas rather than to their words. The sign which contains the South Node indicates the ways in which the soul memory of past incarnations is still too embedded in lower mind activities. The sign which contains the North Node shows the ways in which the individual can now free himself through the broadening influence of his higher mind. How beautiful is that? Okay. Any of you who would like a written copy, send me an email, and then I will absolutely send you copies of what I just read. And I hope this was helpful. That's all I have for you now. Until next time. Bye.